Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Tuesday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Tuesday means we got good old Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show. You can listen to him Monday through Thursdays on Facebook Live about 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then second portion of today's program, we're joined by Kevin O'Sullivan, head baseball coach of your Florida Gators that crank up this weekend against the Liberty Flames. But let's head over to if you missed it last night, Lady Gator basketball team. I don't think we're supposed to call them Lady Gators anymore, but
I guess I don't know.
Yeah, they're still the Lady Gators to me. They won they're 6-0 on the road under Kelly Ray Finley, beat the Auburn Lady Tigers, and keep it rolling. So she's got it going on. Gators play men's basketball tonight at 7 p.m. At Texas A&M, and I believe swimming is up in, I think the SEC swim meet is up in Knoxville, Tennessee. So anyway, good morning, buddy. You're on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. It's really, there's a lot going on right now. You just named a few things. We could go into lacrosse and go into golf and all the other stuff. It's an amazing month. Things are starting up, and I can't wait to hear Kevin O'Sullivan talk about the baseball team. I think they're ranked 9th in the latest poll. And a lot of interest. Ocala are kind of like similar markets. We lumped them together, but I'm going to draw the line right now to the Alachua County line and say I'm proud of my people from this county. And this week especially, baseball starting with 3 key players on the baseball team. We got a lot of called the Ocala Power Company. And then we've got, of course, the great news out of the Winter Olympics with Aaron Stewart becoming the first African-American female to win a gold medal in speed skating. And 3 of those people trained right here, not even a mile from my house, at a skating rink, not an ice skating rink, a skating rink where you used to do in Mississippi when you were young, and you could go out and waltz with your girlfriend and skate around, act like a big dog, and like a lot of people did. They were training there. It's just an amazing story. And Shane, there's so many good stories this week in sports.
Yeah, there really is. I don't even know where to start. John says on Facebook Live, the Gator softball team's moved up to number 3 in the D1 softball poll. They play at JU tonight. JU comes here tomorrow. Buddy, before we jump into Gator stuff and Super Bowl, did you watch any? It's no longer called the waste management. It's called the WM because they do more than just waste. But boy, I got attached to the golf tournament this weekend. I forgot. I didn't forget about hole 16, obviously, because they've made that an unbelievable scene now. But 15, 16, 17, and 18, those 4 holes, the way they're designed, boy, they are exciting to watch.
Yeah, I used to be in the golf business for 15 years. We had an event in Colorado called the International, and it was looked upon itself as sort of the Masters of the West, if you will, in terms of being proper. And the Masters fans, they're all they're big on decorum. The other stories, but when you drop a piece of paper, there's somebody there to pick it up, and you don't act out, you don't dance and jump around and drink. You certainly don't give beer showers like they do at 16 in Phoenix. But it was fun. And a lot of golfers are still trying to figure it out, but you kind of got to embrace it if you're a player. I don't remember back in the day when I used to talk to my bosses, what are they doing there in Phoenix? And we were all these people, massive crowds. A good week for us was to get 40,000 for the week. They're getting 200,000 people there. And it's not even golf in many respects, but it is. A lot of people think it's the Happy Gilmore impact on golf. A lot of people like it, the purists don't. But it was an amazing thing. There were some great shots made. And, of course, again, it went down to extra hole sudden death. And another first-time winner on the tour.
Yes, he played outstanding golf. I saw something last night go across the ticker on ESPN as I was flipping through the channels.
Mm-hmm.
It said your favorite golfer, buddy, Bryson DeChambeau, was thinking
Mm-hmm.
about leaving the PGA Tour. What's that all about? You
I
got
don't
any
know.
idea?
I saw the same thing, but then I saw he also was injured. So he tweeted something out that he was injured. I haven't read that, but yeah. I mean, I saw the headline like you do. What is that all about? He's always quirky. Remember, he blamed his equipment, and stuff. I kind of think I like it that he's different, but he goes across the line. I don't know what that's about. I'm not even sure what's going on with Kepka. He and Mickelson in a feud about money, about Mickelson. I don't know. I'm not
I
on
missed
the
that.
yeah,
What happened with Kepka?
Oh, my wife pointed that out to me. She's a big golf fan, and apparently Kepka was. I think I got it right now. I'm sure one of our erudite listeners and viewers will straighten me out if I'm not. But my understanding is that when Nicholson went to Dubai for a payday, Kepka made some comment about, I don't want to put words in, but money grubbing or whatever it might be, and they got a little thing going back and forth now. So I don't know, which is not always bad, as we saw DeChambeau and Kepka had their little thing going on. So I don't know what's going on out there. I guess we'll find out here soon because we'll get LA this weekend. The California tour is going to be really, really good with Riviera in that 10th hole there. And then, of course, now we've got the players back here in the right spot where it belongs in March and not in May, leading up to the Masters, which, of course, we all love. So, yeah, there's a lot going on about the golf. I don't talk about it much on my show because our people don't seem to like it too much, but you allow me to talk every now and then. Yeah, I love it. I watch it every week. I did watch it. I did turn it off to watch the Winter Olympics later on, though. I went back and watched the replay. And your guy, Schauffele, almost won it.
He's a good player. Joe says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law, Bryson was offered $135 million to join the new Saudi tour.
Oh, okay. That's what it was about then.
So,
well, then anyway, I guess that money grubbing remark must have been directed at him and not at Mickelson.
Yeah. So, I would. Yeah, it probably. I don't think it probably would have been Mickelson. I could be wrong, as you said.
Mickelson's name is in it somewhere. I don't know. We'll do some homework and find out.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out. But Wrap Spot's expanding, folks. Check out their second location in the heart of Gainesville at 1931 North Main Street. Wrap Spot's teamed up with a crew at Vibrant Vinyl Works to offer color change wraps, advertising wraps, custom striping, hood wraps, and wall wraps. Speaking with Buddy Martin on the Titan and More Hotline, we'll be joined second part of the show by head baseball coach, the skipper, Kevin O'Sullivan. Talk Gator baseball. They crank it up Friday. Lady Gator basketball, buddy. On your show last night, I mean, we opened the show as the game was ending. I don't know how long you've been doing podcasts and radio shows. It's been a long time, but you've talked more in the last week or two about women's basketball at Florida than you have probably in 20-something years combined, huh?
You're exactly right. And it's almost embarrassing, not because of the women's embarrassing. I'm so late to the party. I've championed women's sports. I remember about the LPGA 100 years ago. I loved players out there, but it hasn't been in the news, and it's not something necessarily that we would talk about that often. Because let's face it, the Gator basketball program, women, like I'm not going to call them Lady Gators either, although that's what they once were reverted. They're in the news now, and I'm telling you, I don't know if I can think of a better coaching job. I'd have to go back to your freshman year in 1990 when Steve Spurrier came in and took over. First-year coaching job, and not even a head coach, as good as I've ever seen at Florida, anything. And I watched them closely last night. And by the way, tonight on our show, we got Nina Rickards. I got to be sure I pronounced her name right. She was one of the leading rebounders last night on the Gator Collective Corner tonight with Ben Troop and Franz Beard. But I find out more about this. But Shane, as I watched the game, I thought and wondered, what is it about this woman, Kelly Ray Finney? She's become a rock star. And what does she do? How does she coach? You watch coaches. What is it about her that she took the same team and let's call it like it was, basically in shambles, and now has them 6-0 on the road in the SEC and ranked and playing great basketball and going to Auburn? Not an easy place to win last night and doing it again. I'm telling you, I'm a huge Kelly Ray Finley fan. I don't even know her, but I really like her.
Yeah, she's done a phenomenal job. There's no question about it. It's we've had people on the shows talk about the attendance at the women's games, which is not very good. Obviously, it's gotten a little bit better, but it's funny. I guess Sunday I was around the house and flipping through the channels, and I saw Auburn, Kentucky on my thing. It tells you who's playing.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was women, so I clicked on it, and it was the women's game. I paused it for a second, buddy. I kid you not. They were playing in Alabama, and I don't even know what these two teams' records are, Alabama and Kentucky. I paused it, and I counted the human beings sitting in seats in the stands. There were 35 people in the arena watching the game. So, I know Tennessee and I know South Carolina draw great crowds. Obviously, Florida's getting a little bit better, but it's a sport that it's hard to get people to go watch, regardless of your record. But yeah, she's done a great job, and I think she will be the head coach when it's all said and done. There's no.
Have you watched her coach?
Yeah. She coaches she's always smiling.
Right. I call her the smiling assassin because she'll, she got a lot of fire in her, but you don't see it. Her smile is spectacular, I think. It's funny you say that about a coach, but the way she coaches, always in control, seems to be in command. Her players are calm, fundamentally they rebound. They shoot the three okay. I mean, you're a basketball fan, and tell me, what is she doing differently that the previous coach couldn't get done?
Well, that's a great question. Some people just have that knack of being good coaches, and they have that way of being able to communicate in a certain way with their players. It doesn't always have to be the screaming, cussing, get in your face. And she obviously has her own style that these women, these girls really have adjusted to it. And as many of people here said, supposedly the best player on the team went into the transfer portal.
Yeah, Lavender.
Yeah. So it's very, very interesting. And I think she's done a great job. Dan says on Facebook, Auburn's coach last night bumped up her donation from $3 per person to $5 because there were so few people at the Florida game. It was their Cancer Pink night. Right. Yeah, I just think that sport just has trouble getting attendance. But anyway, another road win. They're 6-0 on the road. I don't know who we play next. I need to look into that. But, buddy, let's talk Super Bowl. Yeah. I thought it was a good football game. It was much closer than I anticipated. But just your overall thoughts of this Super Bowl out in L.A.
Well, it was a very good game. I lost all that. It was down to the end of the fourth down stop, with Aaron Donald making the play and, that he didn't play. And we talked about it on my show last night about not having a very good protection. You said it was no surprise. Their offensive line was shed two regulars out, two starters out. I thought the Bengals were a well-coached team because of Joe Burrow. And by the way, their defense played pretty darn well, too. I want to say that. It was an excellent game. I love, again, as a writer, I love the storylines that we had. And we had some good ones, a lot of them. You can shoot Matthew Stafford himself is worth, a great story. Look what he went through. And as you pointed out last night, he had two picks. Both of them were tipped. I mean, they were not like he made bad throws. He played well. He put it on the money to Cooper Kupp. And there's my story of all the ones. I love me some Cooper Kupp. He had a vision about what was going to happen 3 years ago. And he was hurt, I believe, at the time. We talked about it last night. He saw himself walking off the field as the MVP of the Super Bowl. Now, this is not an arrogant man. He's not arrogant at all. He's very humble. He told his wife he thought it. He saw it. And if you saw him after the game, he could hardly speak. He could hardly speak about it because he was so overwhelmed by it. And then you get the great story about Van Jefferson playing the Super Bowl and getting the ring, wearing a Gator gloves, by the way. And then his wife leaving in Samaria, going to the hospital, having a baby during the game. When does that ever happen, man? And on and on and on. I mean, I just think there's some wonderful stories there. And the game was good, but the stories were better. And I love that. Cooper Kupp didn't get one single offer to go to college. Not one.
He didn't get offered by Eastern Washington.
No. He didn't get on. He did eventually, but thought he had I forget where he went. He said he thought he had a scholarship, and they called and said they're going a different direction. And I guess he kind of went and hung out at Eastern Washington. And he didn't get any offers. He was a walk-on, and then he finally got a scholarship. This guy right now is as good a player as there is in the NFL, Shane. I don't have to tell you. We talked about how you go after a pass, how you make a play, which you said you got on Van Jefferson a little bit for not being more aggressive going after the football. This guy, not only does he run an absolutely impeccable route, his hands are, he used to he'd go in the gymnasium. He was friends with the janitors at Eastern Washington. He'd go in there and catch tennis balls all day and all night. And it worked. He worked, and his coach said he never wasted a second in training. So you talk about a story for effort, work ethic. These are the stories we should be talking about to tell young people, because there's so much good about sports and it gets overshadowed by the bad. Cooper Kupp is a fantastic story and a fantastic football player.
Yeah. It just goes to show you if you can play, if you got any talent, the NFL is going to find you. Majority of these kids that play, they're not superstars that you saw in college usually. We got a couple of Facebook Lives here brought to you by Melon Law, buddy. And we talked a little bit about on your show last night. There's talk about Aaron Donald maybe retiring, which I don't see that happening. But you mentioned Sean McVay has talked about it, or it's come up. And we had one of our listeners here just talked about it. Andy says, why coach when you can when you can do TV like Tony Romo and make the kind of money and be with your family?
Yeah, but but that's Tony Romo money. He's not. I mean, Sean McVay not going to make that kind of money. Okay, let's get
here's the thing. Here's the thing. If Sean McVay wanted to get into TV, obviously somebody would probably hire him if he's good enough to do it.
I'm sure.
Here's the thing, though. Coaches want to coach. And Sean McVay is so young. What is he, 34?
38. 38.
He's 38?
Yeah.
I didn't even know he's that old. He's got so many years ahead of him. He doesn't even have a family. He ain't married. He has no kids. So I just don't see him. I don't even know why that even came up or who brought it up.
Leverage, I guess. Leverage. I don't know. Maybe that's the reason.
I don't see him retiring. So anyway.
Yeah, it's a good story that this guy, I didn't think he was that good of a coach. I didn't know. We know about the McVay family. I guess his uncle was in Tampa, right? I love, and this is what Tom Brady has done on his podcast, his final podcast in Tampa. If you want to win the Super Bowl, you go after it and you go get players and you make decisions. And they went all in. They mortgaged the future to win a Super Bowl, and they get the cast of characters they got, fantastic players. And I love what Sean McVay did, how he did it. And you just got to be aggressive. They got the pieces they needed, which unfortunately not many teams get to do that. Now Tampa Bay did it 2 years ago and it worked out. But I love that McVay. I love how he coached his team. He did a fabulous job, but he could probably make a lot of money in TV. But you're right. Like I always say, writers got to write, coaches got to coach, singers got to sing. That's just what we do, right?
That's right. Zach Taylor's 38. Sean McVay is 36.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got him reversed. That was 30. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and Dan says here, LA has no first-round picks for years, but they still want it. Yeah,
was it worth it, Shane? Was it worth it?
You damn right it was, because here's the thing, buddy.
Yeah.
If you look at their roster, if they did have a draft pick next year, where's there a weakness in their team? There really isn't.
It depends on who comes back,
Right. And I mean, if Aaron Donald leaves, obviously that's a huge hole to fill, but I don't see him leaving. But my point is, I don't know about their salary cap. I don't know about any of that stuff, but
I don't either.
I feel like a team like them with all those veteran, just legitimate NFL players.
Go do it again.
And they can find a guy who, let's just say, for example, Odell Beckham, I believe he tore his ACL. I think he probably won't be ready to play next year. And I don't even know if he's still under contract with them. You're going to have Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, who's a really good receiver coming off an injury. Mm-hmm. they'll go sign a guy who's been around in the NFL and get it done. So, it's I wouldn't worry about the draft picks quite even. If I had a team, I'd go do it right now. I would give them all away and get the players you need to win.
But something, Sean McVay is a heck of a coach, but and somebody brought this up last night. I don't know if it's true. Apparently, every player who made a play, a catch or a throw, was a 5-star recruit in college. Do you believe that? That's what I read. I don't know if it's true or not.
Say that one more time.
According to what Cooper Kupp wasn't one, I can tell you right now.
Right.
But the stat I read was every player who made a big play was a 5-star recruit. Now, I know Cooper Kupp was not.
Yeah,
I mean,
Cooper
quarterbacks, I don't know. If that's true or not. So,
well, the two quarterbacks are legit.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase will go down as one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play the game if he stays healthy.
I love his game.
Yeah, it's Cooper Kupp definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Gators sports.
Man, I can't keep up, Shane. I can't keep up. There's too much going on.
We got basketball tonight. We're playing at A&M, which is a tough place to play. Buzz Williams teams always play very.
But they're
hard.
they're a bad team. They've lost a bunch of games.
No, they're not a great team, but he coaches them really hard, and it's a game we must win. I mean, obviously, if anybody thought we had a chance going to win at Lexington,
gotta win.
You're drinking way too much orange and blue Kool-Aid.
Oh, right. I agree. That was a poor performance. They couldn't block me out, on a rebound.
Well, I don't know if it was a poor performance. It was just their dudes are better than our dudes in every position. Yeah,
in terms of matchups, they couldn't match up with that team.
No, we don't. No. It's like I try to tell people, when you don't have one player that could play for the other team, chances are very slim of winning.
You say that a lot. You're right about this. There's no question. On the other hand, I got to give credit where it's due. How many coaches lose both their big men, and like White did. And by the way, last night Francis says, and he's right. I'm not making any excuses for Mike White. All right, he deserves whatever he does. But has anybody been more a hard luck guy on the injuries than him? Every year, Keontae John. Every year he loses a key player. You wonder what he could do if he ever had an opportunity, to have a full squad. However, there are no excuses, as Kelly Ray Finley has taught us.
That is so true. So true. So, buddy, when you look at, we're going to talk to Kevin O'Sullivan here shortly. You mentioned earlier in the program, a lot of Ocala kids on there. What do you expect out of this baseball team this year? I know they're ranked in the top 10. Yeah. It's the SEC, though. I haven't looked at the rankings, but we all know week in and week out in conference play, it's a bloodbath. So many good teams.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask Sully, the way the season ended last year was a really sour note. But what do you expect out of this baseball team?
Well, I expect them to play better. Their pitching you got to hold together. They got the power. I don't know, like you say, what the rest of the league looks like. We can pretty well guess we know what teams are going to be good again in baseball this year. Is he going to play long ball or what? I mean, the Derek Fabian and Judd, that together ought to hit a bunch of home runs. Sherlin Thompson, there's other guys. What are they going to do? Barco should have a big year. Again, the pitching staff ought to be good. I don't know enough about this team at this point in time to say, but I would think because he is Kevin O'Sullivan, he's expected to produce. The defense has got to get better. They were not good last year. They got to stop booting the balls and making errors and throwing errors. If they can get their defense fixed, I feel confident O'Sullivan will have the pitching and he's got the power. This could be a top 5 team. They could go to the World Series, and they should. They get that beautiful ballpark. They hoped it was going to be wonderful last year. It didn't work out that way. So I'm hopeful. I think this could be a top 5 team in college baseball.
Well, I want to say one poll I looked at, maybe preseason number 6, if I'm not mistaken. So, the one thing that I thought last year that what hurt the team, as you said, they booted the ball a ton of errors, which you normally don't see from a Kevin O'Sullivan coach team. But it was just last year was a weird year. So, as you mentioned, I've lost track, buddy. Is this the first year? Was last year the first year of the new ballpark, or the year before?
Somebody help me out. I think it was last year, but the way my memory is, I have a hard time remembering what I had for
Yeah,
practice.
I can't remember either. I've lost track with all the COVID, so I can't remember if last year was the first year, because we only had X amount of percentage of capacity.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll get a full house. John says our hitting was good last year. Pitching and defense needs to come back like we were used to seeing. Yeah, I agree with that. That's what usually pitching and defense is a staple of Sully's teams, but not last year. Who you got on the show tonight, buddy?
Well, like I said, I got Nina Rickards. I got to make sure I got her names right. The first time I ever had a women basketball player on the show. Looking forward to it, and looking forward to getting more because it's a good story. Of course, it's always good when Ben Troop is on. He is with me on Thursday nights as well. And Fransbury, we're talking a lot. We might get a visit, hopefully, from David Whitley of the Gainesville Sun tonight, depending on how things go. But listen, just remember this. If you're not happy with what's going on in Florida right now in football, you could always be Auburn.
Well, Auburn kept their coach, which surprised me quite a bit.
Me too. I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. I don't see how he could possibly succeed.
Well, you're right, because, I mean, just think about it. Nobody's going to be happy whether you win or lose those games next year. So I don't know. It's a strange situation. But yeah. So real quick before we let you go, what are you hearing out of Gator football? Anything new? I know they started phase 2 of their identity phase. Got any good scoop for us, buddy?
Kind of radio silence. Last Friday, Coach Napier had his press conference, and very deliberately. I love how he lays things out for us. We can understand this is the identity. Like Fran said last night, some people call it mat drills, or they call it different things. This is where you find out who you are and who you got on your squad and who wants to play. And then I'm looking forward to the spring game, which is Easter weekend, I believe, to see because the quarterback story is still not finished, it's still being written. I frankly don't know. I wrote that column in Gator Bait last week. That I don't know. I know who's supposed to be back. I don't know if Emory Jones is going to play or not play. I want to say AR-15 on the field, and I don't know how good Jack Miller is yet. So there's 6 guys on the roster. Let's see. Nobody could ever think of a 6-team guy would have. Oh, wait a minute. There was a guy who did that one time in 1990, a 16 quarterback who became the MVP of the SEC. So yeah, Shane, it could happen again.
Yeah, I think that's going to be what everybody wants to see is the quarterback job. Obviously, I don't know what's going to happen there. I think a lot of it's going to be who picks up the offense, whatever kind of offense they run quickly. And
what do you think they're going to run?
I honestly don't know. I'm going to make my way over there in the next couple of weeks and
give us a report. You can get in and see practice. We can't do that. You can see what's going on.
I'm going to try to get you a report before practice to try to figure out what they're going to do.
Yeah, please do. I'm going to say it's going to be your basic 50-50 run pass. I think he'll go with whatever he's got. If he goes with Emory, which I don't think he will. We know that it depends on the quarterback. But I think he likes to use tight ends a lot, doesn't he?
I don't know what he likes to do, buddy. I mean, you can look at what he did at Louisiana, but sometimes Louisiana is you kind of got to go with what it's like high school. Usually, you got to coach what you get. At a school like Florida, you can go grab pieces of whatever kind of offense you want to run. And plug
but you got to run the football. He likes to run the football. That's why he's put so much emphasis on the offensive line. Bringing a guy in from the NFL to coach his offensive line, recruiting these players, got a really good one from Louisiana, brought him here. No question. I didn't know the offensive line was that bad. I guess it was. I don't know. But he has put a big emphasis on the offensive line, on offense. So we'll see.
Yeah, and, they brought over his one of his running backs took a transfer here, which people wanted to make a big deal about it.
Yeah, leading rusher, yeah.
But what people forget is the starting running back for the 49ers this past year, rookie, came from Louisiana. Brandon says, with 91 kids on the spring roster, who's on your possible transfer radar? Yeah, there's going to be a bunch of dudes transferring after spring ball.
Yeah, what would you say, 7 or 8 or 9? The standard number is just like as high as 20% on transition squads that they lose them, and everybody knows it. Shoot, look at the other teams. How many they've lost in the SEC? Even Alabama has lost some. So it's going to be definitely some migration going on this year in the SEC. And so be sure to ask about my boys, the Fabian brothers, Judd and Derek, will you? And Sterling Thompson.
But real quick, buddy. If you said that y'all had a bunch of people join Gator Bait. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Last week was a big week, man. It really was. And I'm so grateful to people who find us. We don't do much advertising except on your show and mine. And we're just, we're just guys who write about Gator sports and Franz's machine. I would say Franz Beard was the single most productive writer in Gator sports on the planet. And he writes terrific stuff. People love it. I get to write every now and then. We have some young people that we're bringing along. I'm excited about Kyle Curtis, a young intern, and a guy who's the third generation in Gator, who is going to be somebody you heard, Bennett Solomon. His daddy is the producer of Around the Horn, and his grandfather was sports editor of the Washington Post. So the young people that are coming up are excited about what we're doing. So thank you for all you people. We had a big membership last week, and Cassie Hill weighed in from up in Green Bay, where she covers the Packers and checking in, and she's doing well. So we're excited about what we can do, and we got some good plans for you in the future. If you want to know how to get involved, and we do have a relationship with the Gator Collective, you can go to GatorBaitMedia.com. There are several different kind of plans, and see if you want to join. We appreciate the support.
Yeah, real quick, couple Facebook Lives here brought to you by Mellon Law about transfers. Joseph says, I think we got to have 4 transfers due to being over the limit right now. Chris says, Emory's mom wasn't at the parent meet and greet with the new coaching staff last weekend. When he gets his degree, he is gone. So
could be. Good luck with Coach Sullivan. Tell him I got some eligibility left. I got, I'm an old letterman in Gator baseball. I'm ready to come back and help him out if he needs me out of the bullpen for one pitch. All
right. Good stuff, buddy. We'll talk to you next week, my man.
All right. Thank you.
That's Buddy Martin joins us on the Titan More Hotline. We're going to take a quick timeout, come back. We'll be joined by head baseball coach Kevin O'Sullivan talking Gator baseball. You're watching and listening to Pot Up Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics. Live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips. It's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avera and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Are you tired of being sidelined by nagging pain? Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famer and Dance with the Stars champion. Happy to tell you about QC Kinetics and their biologic therapies for treating pain without drugs or surgery.
Are you suffering from chronic pain in your hips, knees, shoulder, or lower back? Are you tired of living with arthritis pain? QC Kinetics offers natural pain treatment that can repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints.
Listen, I know pain, and I've seen firsthand how powerful biologic therapies can be. Patients at QC Kinetics rave about their result because they're getting their lives back. They are getting moving again.
These exciting regenerative treatments used to be available only to pro athletes like Emmitt. Now they're available to anyone thanks to QC Kinetics. Call today for your free consultation.
Get long-lasting results from my friends at QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. In North Central Florida, call 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios at South State Bank. They understand that small businesses need a community business partner they can rely on. South State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking for member FDIC. We're now going to head to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by head baseball coach, the skipper of the Gators, Kevin O'Sullivan. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good, Ken. How are you?
Doing well. Coach, before we get into this year's team, let's go back to last year. Obviously, it didn't end the way that any fans thought. But when your season ends the way it did last year, I know in football, when we would have like a bad ending to a season or just had a bad game, Coach Spur used to make us and the coaches get up at like 5 a.m. and go run the stadium. And, you got to think about that loss. In baseball, losing a game the way that the season ended last year, does that play any factor in your off season?
No, not really. I mean, you certainly evaluate where you're at and what you need to do to get better and improve in certain areas. And obviously, rules are a little bit different now than they were back then as far as, discipline and that type of thing. But, honestly, Shane, all you do is just try to look at things realistically and look at it subjectively and make some adjustments. I mean, that's all you can do. There's a reason why things happen the way they do. There's a reason why you win. There's a reason why you lose. And, from my standpoint, it was a point where we needed to make some changes and hopefully those changes will get us going back in the right direction.
When you look at this year's team, obviously with Judd Fabian coming back, a lot of people thought he'd be a high round draft pick last year. I'm sure y'all got information from Major League Baseball like they do in the NFL draft. When you sat down with him and talked about it when the season ended, were you surprised at all that he came back to be a Gator?
Well, I think you're always surprised. I mean, anytime somebody goes in the first couple rounds, and obviously Judd went in the second round and got offered, a little over $2 million, you would think that most people in that situation would end up signing and moving on to professional baseball. But there were reasons why he decided to come back. And obviously, I was not, honestly, Shane, I was not involved in the process very much. When it gets to that point and you get selected, it really comes down to the family. I mean,
Gotcha.
It's their decision. There's not anything a coach could say, at that point to convince somebody to come back to school, when they're talking about that type of money. I think it just comes down to the individual player, the family, and I think the opportunity to play with his younger brother was a big deal to him. But obviously we were surprised that he came back, but certainly he's a game changer for us. And he makes our team, obviously it would be so different without having him, obviously.
Talk a little bit about his brother. We had someone text earlier in the Titan MR text line wanting to know, are they similar players? What's the difference in Judd and his brother?
I think I'll start with the first part. I think they're very similar. Derek's a little bit taller. Obviously, Derek's right, and obviously Judd's left-handed thrower. Obviously, they play different positions. One plays infield, one plays the outfield. But as far as their swing is concerned, and that's what I was alluding to, at the beginning, their swings are very similar. And they both have power. I think Derek's got a chance to be a really good player. I really do. But with all young players, and there's going to be some swing and miss in there, and there's going to be some ups and downs. But he'll start the season at third base for us. Derek will, and mainly because of his glove. He's really good defensively. So, he'll hit the bottom half of the lineup and hopefully give him some, protection around him. But he's going to be a good player in his own right.
We got a question on the Melton Law Facebook Live here. It comes from Andy. He says, with all the new young arms on the team, how long does it take for you to set a pitching rotation in place, or will that just be a work in progress throughout the season?
Well, the season starts Friday, so we're going to have to start somebody. So Barker will start on Friday for sure. We're going to get through practice today. I have a pretty good idea of what the rotation is going to look like. And honestly, and I've said this before, 2 weeks ago, the rotation was different. And all you can do as a coach is you just practice, you have your scrimmages, you evaluate, and you reward the players that perform. And sometimes these decisions are really hard to make, and not all the decisions you make as a coach are right. And I do think it's going to be a work in progress. But I think based on what we've seen in the fall and what we've seen in the early part of the spring, after today's practice, I'll go ahead and announce the rotation for the weekend. but things will change. We've got a kid named Nick Pogue who will be ready to go in live action in the beginning of March, like 3 weeks from now. And I would assume he'd be in the rotation at some point. So then that moves somebody else out of rotation. So it's going to be a work in progress, but we do have some good options. As far as the young arms are concerned, they're talented. I don't know what to expect when the lights come on. I would think that at least one of the freshmen will start on the weekend. But certainly it's a really talented group. It's as good as it's been since maybe the 2010 class and 13 class.
Wow. Coach, when you talk about your defense, obviously kind of the staple of all your baseball teams have been pitching and defense. And last year it kind of booted the ball around a little bit more than normal. Do you expect to play good, solid defense this year?
I do. I don't know. People have talked about last year quite a bit. There's, like I said, there are specific reasons why you win and there are specific reasons why you lose. But as far as this year's team's concerned, I really believe we're going to be really good defensively. We feel really good about our catching situation. Obviously, with Rivera and Halter up the middle and Judd center, it's a pretty good up the middle. And then obviously we've got some, two older guys that play first with Kenny and Armstrong and Sterling Thompson. We don't even talk about Sterling Thompson, but in right field. But in my opinion, he's going to end up being one of the best hitters in the country. He very well may be a first round pick when it's all said and done in the next couple months or so. And then in left field, we got Wyatt Langford. We've been using him out there. He's been improving defensively, but his bat is so good that we've got to try to find a way to get him in there. And then obviously we already talked about Derek at third. So defensively, we do feel good. Left field is probably one spot where we're going to have to continue to work extremely hard to get better at defensively. But other than that, I feel really good about our defense.
Coach, you've done such a great job recruiting over the years you've been here, bringing top-notch players. With this NIL stuff, has it affected baseball any? I know it's new, but has it really affected the baseball players that you've recruited at all?
Not really, not yet. I think the biggest issue with it, with this whole thing is how it's being used. I think, and it's hard to point fingers or whatever, but I think it's being used in the recruiting process. And when you're talking about a sport like baseball, and you only have 11.7 scholarships, if kids are going to get $2,000 or $3,000 per month through the NIL, that's a big deal. That's a big deal when you're dealing with partial scholarships. So you do that over a 10 or 12 month period. $30,000 may not seem like a lot of money to people that are on full rides, but in the baseball world, you get an extra $2,000 a month, and it's being talked about in the recruiting process. That's a big deal. So I think that's the thing that needs to probably, the NCAA needs to get a handle on, because that was not the intent of why we were doing this. But, as far as we're concerned, it hasn't really affected us much at all.
Will they ever? I've never understood, and I haven't looked at it closely, but the 11.7 scholarships to me is just totally ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure you agree, but I don't understand why, when it comes to baseball, I mean, it's one of the major sports at these universities. Why not, you put 25 kids on full scholarship? Will that ever happen?
I don't know, Shane. That's something that's brought up every year. I mean, that's not our only issue. We have 11.7. We can only have 27 guys on scholarship. So that means, on a 35-man roster, you got 8 walk-ons. You can't put them on book scholarship like you could before. At least they felt like they were getting something. So you're on 25% minimum. And, like I said, you can only have 27 guys on scholarship and you have 11.7. It makes it really hard. I mean, you think about it. You have a son that's drafted, who's got the opportunity to sign for, 7 figures, and he's turning down 7 figures to come to the University of Florida to pay $6,000 a year. I mean, it's a really hard juggling act. I mean, it is, but I would hope at some point that they would alleviate 25%, so we don't have to, be forced to have walk-ons, because I hate that term. At least you did give them something, to cover their books expenses or something. And then hopefully at some point we'll do away with 11.7, but I don't know if I'll see that in the near future.
Yeah, Dan says on Facebook Live, the SEC is making such huge money, new TV deals, even more. Why not more scholarship? It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, I agree. Tell us some of the newcomers for the Gator fans when they roll out to the ballpark this weekend that may catch their eye.
Okay, I think we've got 4 young outfielders I really like. Obviously, we're a little bit older in the outfield, so you'll see some of those guys this weekend, or at least starting to see them, in the early part of the season. I think the biggest, thing that people will probably see is these younger arms. We have a 6'9" lefty from New Jersey named Pierce Capola, who turned down, quite a bit of money to come to school here, and he will probably end up being one of our starters on the weekend. But I mean, it's AJ Puck-like. He's way more advanced at the same age. His coordination and his ability to control his body and his delivery and repeat his delivery is really, really impressive. Got a kid in Carl Hartman, Brandon Neely, Philip Abner, Carson Finbold. We've got about 5 freshman arms that are going to have to contribute. And the interesting thing is trying to figure out the back end of the bullpen, the closer role. So I don't know what that's going to look like. We have a plan going into the season. I don't know if it's going to be the same thing a month from now or 3 weeks from now. But right now, Ryan Slater kind of reminds me a little bit of a Michael Byrne type closer. It's unconventional because he doesn't throw 95, 96. It's more 90, 92, but he's got a really good slider that he can throw for strikes at will. And calling his game is very similar to calling Michael Burns' game, and we all know the story about Michael Burns. So going back to that experience with Michael kind of led me to this point. I feel very comfortable with Ryan possibly at the end of the game because he's going to throw strikes, he's going to field his position, and he's going to do all the little things that need to be done in crucial situations. So we'll see. I'll be honest with you, I'm about as excited as I've been with this group that I've been in a long time. It's not one of those years where you have Fayeto, Singer, and Kowar, your weekend rotation, your lineup, and that type of thing. There's so many unknowns, but that's what makes this profession so exciting. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how this team plays and the adjustments we're going to have to make as coaches to get these guys in the right spots. It's going to be a lot of maneuvering, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Coach, we had a couple of questions. People want to know. I mean, the SEC grind is the toughest conference in the country, obviously, week in and week out. What is your favorite road trip? Your favorite venue that y'all play at on the road?
Oh, there's so many good ones. I mean, each one's got their own. I got stories at every place we've been to. Arkansas is really nice. I mean, their fans are, they're certainly into it. LSU with their tradition has always been a nice trip. Mississippi State, obviously, their stadium in the outfield that they have, the cooking going on and stuff. I think probably the favorite one for me is, I always like going to Vanderbilt because I think over the years, the Florida-Vanderbilt rivalry has maybe put itself at the top in the nation as far as competitiveness. And Tim and I go back a long, long time, with our days at Clemson. So, it just seems like every time we play Vanderbilt, there's something riding on it. It's either, the East or the SEC championship or whatever. But, 2 really highly talented programs that seem to have premium players year in, year out. And it's a rivalry that I enjoy, and especially because of my friendship with Tim.
And the last question for you here, obviously the number one goal. I try to tell everybody in basketball, the number one goal is to make the NCAA tournament. And obviously we know we want to make postseason play here, but the number one goal for your team is to try to get back to Omaha, correct?
No doubt. And that'll never change. And, and that's what you want. I mean, this is my 15th year. And when I first got the job, I remember Jeremy talking to me, and his ultimate goal was he just wanted to be in the tournament every year and be a player. He didn't want the ups and downs. And he asked me if I could do that. And I said, I didn't see why not, and certainly we've made the regionals 14 years in a row, been in the World Series 7 out of 14, most in the country. I mean, when you build a resume like that, sure, the expectation is not, the expectations get bigger. So when I first got here, the expectation was get to a regional. Then it became, well, we got to get to a super regional. Now our goal is to get to Omaha, be one of the top 8 teams. And now it's kind of creeping towards the point, well, we want another national championship. It's like your own success creates these expectations. But I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest with you. And it didn't happen overnight. And it certainly is not going to go away. But our goal is to not just get to Omaha. Like I said, we've been 7 out of 14 years. I mean, the goal is to win it. And we've got a taste of it, but we're working it as hard as we possibly can to get another one, then another one, and another one. That's just the way this thing is, and hopefully this team can get us back in position to do that.
No doubt. So you got Napier, Brady Singer, and Zanino throwing. Are they throwing at the first pitch of each different game, or all on Friday night?
I just heard about this yesterday. I used to make a stink about it every year. I was like, the first pitch of the season, the first pitch that get thrown out are really important to me, especially opening weekend. So I just heard about this yesterday, and I think it's awesome. I think it's great that Billy's got a chance to up first pitch Friday. Get to see Brady, of course, one of my all-time favorites on Saturday, and obviously Zanino, one of my all-time favorites on Sunday. So we've got a great lineup of guys throwing out first pitches, so it'll be a fun weekend.
Yep. Well, hopefully they can get that ballpark like some of the ones that we mentioned, since this will be the first year that I think it can be full with all the COVID and mess last year. Coach, appreciate you taking the time. Good luck this season. Hopefully everyone stays healthy, and we'll talk to you soon.
You got it. Thanks, Shane.
Yep. That's Coach Kevin O'Sullivan joining us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. We're going to take our final time out, come back and wrap up this Tuesday edition.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okito America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Big Mills Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios at Celebration Point. That's where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Nike, Regal Cinemas, Le Macaron, Dave & Buster's, Medici's, Palmetto Moon, and the HBC's restaurant Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, now serving brunch on Saturdays and Sundays. We'll see you at Celebration Point. I really want to thank Buddy Martin and Coach Kevin O'Sullivan for joining us on the Titan MRO Hotline. Sully does a tremendous job. It's hard to believe this is his 15th year. Does a great job. Real quick before we get out of here, got a Facebook Live brought to you by Meldon Law. John says, is Stafford a Hall of Famer? He was selected to one Pro Bowl in 2014, never selected to the All-Pro team. Gosh, that's a great question. I think he's still got, he's probably got another 6-7 years to play. So time will tell. I think he's a pretty good player, though. I think he's outstanding. I don't know what all the requirements are to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So anyway, hope y'all enjoyed today's program. Tomorrow we have JC. We'll get our Peachland Dentistry golf picks in before the tournament starts on Thursday. And we'll also have Trent Whittemore's, let me see if I can repeat that, Wednesday's weekly Word with Wit. He is having Jordan Pouncey on, I believe. And then we're going to be able to figure out a way for you guys to get him some questions before he does his taping. Anyway, today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Enjoy your day. We'll see you tomorrow.